We're beginning our journey here on the Singelgracht, pronounced Singelgracht, one of the canals that once marked the very edge of the old city. To our side lies the green heart of Amsterdam, the Vondelpark. Opened in 1865, this beloved park was named after Joost van den Vondel, the great Dutch poet often called the Shakespeare of the Netherlands. Today, millions of visitors stroll its winding paths each year, drawn by its ponds, open lawns, and open-air theater. It's the perfect place to begin, where the city breathes and our adventure sets off. Just ahead on the Lidsekade stands Theater Bellevue, one of Amsterdam's most beloved stages. The building dates back to around 1840, when it began life as a gentleman's society and a gathering hall, a place where famous politicians once rallied their crowds. In the 1960s, its halls were even converted into television studios, where the legendary Dutch music show Top Pop was first recorded. Today, Bellevue has returned to its theatrical roots, hosting hundreds of performances every year, from drama and dance to cabaret and children's theater. Keep an eye on its elegant facade as we glide quietly past. On your right, you'll notice something wonderfully Amsterdam: a row of houseboats lining the water's edge. These floating homes, known in Dutch as woonboten, are a true part of city life. Many appeared after the Second World War, when housing was scarce and people turned to the canals for a place to live. Some are converted cargo barges from a bygone era, while others are purpose-built and surprisingly modern inside, complete with running water, electricity, and even gardens on deck. Today, around 2,500 houseboats are officially moored across the city, each one a private home and a permanent address on the water. Take a look at the tops of these classic Dutch houses and you'll spot a wooden beam jutting out from each gable, often with a sturdy hook. This is a hoisting beam, and it solves a very old Amsterdam problem. These canal houses were built tall and narrow, partly because property was once taxed on its width along the canal. That meant staircases inside had to be steep and cramped, far too tight for large furniture. So instead, goods were hauled up the outside by rope and pulley, straight through the windows. Look closely and you'll see many houses even lean slightly forward so nothing bumps the wall on the way up. Coming up on the left of the Keizersgracht is the former Gereformeerd Gymnasium. Now, don't let the name fool you. In the Netherlands, a gymnasium isn't a place for sport. It's a classical secondary school where students study Latin and Greek to prepare for university. This grand building rose around 1931, after 4 17th century canal houses were taken down to make room for it. But one charming detail survived: a carved stone leopard, salvaged from the old house that stood here and set proudly into the new facade. Back then, before street numbers existed, Amsterdammers named their homes after such stones. And this one has watched over the canal for nearly 400 years. On your left rises the stately Felix Meritis, its grand columns marking it as one of Amsterdam's temples of the Enlightenment. Its name is Latin for happy through merit, and when it opened in 1788, it was home to a society devoted to the arts and sciences. Music, drawing, physics, literature, and commerce, all under one elegant roof. Inside was a famous oval concert hall, celebrated for its acoustics, where legends like Johannes Brahms and Clara and Robert Schumann once performed. There was even an observatory built upon the roof, among the oldest in Europe. Today, after a careful restoration, it lives on as a vibrant cultural house. Rising gracefully beside the Keizersgracht is the Ons Lieve Vrouwenkerk, the Church of Our Lady. Built in 1854 in elegant neo-Gothic style, it was the work of architect Theo Molkenboer, and many consider it his finest design. For over a century, it served Amsterdam's Catholic community, but its story took a remarkable turn. In 1985, the church found new life when it was taken over by the Syriac Orthodox community, one of the oldest Christian traditions in the world. Today it's shared by both a quiet meeting point of faith where services are still held in several languages beneath its soaring arches. above us now is the Westerkerk, the Western Church, one of Amsterdam's most beloved landmarks. Completed in 1631, its soaring tower reaches some 85 meters, making it the tallest church tower in the city. Look to its very top, and you'll see a striking blue crown. The imperial crown of Maximilian of Austria, a nod to Amsterdam's royal connections. Within these walls lies the great painter Rembrandt van Rijn, laid to rest here in 1669. And just beside the church stood the secret annex of Anne Frank, who wrote in her diary of these very bells. The gentle chime of the Westertoren that brought her comfort during the darkest of days. Here's something a little different. The Astoria Building, on the corner where the Keizersgracht meets the Lelygracht. Built around 1905, it's a striking example of Art Nouveau, or as the Dutch called it, Nieuwe Kunst, meaning new art. With its copper roof and graceful little tower, it was one of the very first office buildings of its kind in the Netherlands. It was created for a life insurance company, and if you look closely at the facade, you'll spot a mosaic of a guardian angel, a fitting emblem for an insurer. In more recent times, this elegant building even served for years as the international headquarters of Greenpeace. That narrow building with its dark facade and crisp white accents is the Zuid-Afrikahuis, the South Africa House. It's a cultural center devoted to the long-standing bond between the Netherlands and South Africa, a connection that stretches back centuries. In fact, the Afrikaans language spoken in South Africa today grew directly out of the Dutch carried there by early settlers. Behind this elegant frontage lies the largest South African library in the Netherlands, home to tens of thousands of books, photographs, and archives. The house itself is a 17th century gem, once home to governors of the old Dutch East India Company. History layered upon history. On your left is the road Hoed, which means the Red Hat. The name comes from a hat maker whose workshop once stood here. And to this day, a little red hat still adorns the facade. But the real surprise lies hidden behind these ordinary-looking canal houses. Tucked completely out of sight is the largest secret church in the Netherlands, built around 1630 for Protestant dissenters who weren't allowed to worship in public. It reflects a very Amsterdam kind of tolerance. You could practice your faith freely as long as it stayed out of view from the street. Today, this remarkable space lives on as a center for debate and culture. On your left stand the Groenlands Pakhuizen, the Greenland Warehouses, among the oldest and finest in all of Amsterdam, built in 1621. Notice their distinctive stepped gables, quite rare for warehouses like these. They were raised for the Greenland Whaling Company, and behind these walls the city stored its treasure from the Arctic seas, whale oil. Rendered from blubber, this precious oil filled great barrels in the attics and enormous brick pits beneath the floors, each able to hold 10,000 liters. It lit the lamps of Amsterdam and was made into soap, candles, and more. Today, these proud old warehouses have found new life as elegant canal-side homes. Keep an eye out for one of Amsterdam's most charming sights. Bicycles draped in flowers, their baskets and frames bursting with blooms of pink and every other color. Locals and cafe owners dress them up this way, and they've become beloved spots for a photograph all across the city. And really, what could be more Amsterdam? This is a city that adores both flowers and bicycles. In fact, there are more bikes here than people, with well over 800,000 of them. They fill the streets, line the bridges, and lean against nearly every railing. Some even take an unplanned dip. Each year, somewhere between 12 and 15,000 bikes are fished out of the canals. On your right, crowned by a graceful copper dome, is the Koepelkerk, literally the Dome Church. Built in 1671 for Amsterdam's Lutheran community, its round shape hides a clever story. The Lutherans weren't permitted to build a church tower, so instead they raised this elegant dome and topped it not with a cross, but with a swan, the age-old symbol of the Lutheran faith. The building has weathered a dramatic past, surviving several fires over the centuries, the dome itself going up in flames as recently as 1993. Today, beautifully restored, it leads a quieter life as an event space, connected to the hotel next door. ahead, you'll see two of Amsterdam's most modern landmarks. The dazzling white building with the sharp, futuristic angles is the Filmmuseum, and rising beside it, the tower topped with a square lookout is the Dam Tower. The is the Netherlands' national home of cinema, and since opening in 2012, it has helped transform this once industrial northern shore into a lively waterfront. As for the Dam Tower, it was once an oil company's headquarters, but today it buzzes with music, dining, and nightlife. Its very name stands for Amsterdam Dance and Music. And look closely at that lookout on top. A daring swing flings thrill seekers right out over the edge, 100 meters above the ground. On your right is Amsterdam Centraal, the city's grand central station. Though from here on the water, you're seeing its modern face. That sweeping glass roof with the word Amsterdam written proudly across it, welcoming everyone arriving from the IJ. But turn to the far side, facing the city, and you'd find something quite different. A magnificent red brick palace from 1889, designed by Pierre Cuypers, the very same architect behind the famous Rijksmuseum. The whole station rests on 3 man-made islands, held up by over 8,000 wooden piles sunk deep into the riverbed. And its 2 grand towers each have a secret. One tells the time, while the other is a wind vane, a nod to the seafaring city's past. On your right, look for a small, quirky wooden house, perched right at the water's edge. This is the NACO-huisje. Built in 1919, it began life as a ticket office where travelers once bought their passage aboard the ferries that bustled across the IJ. But look at its roof. Those striking upturned points aren't just decoration. They were inspired by the traditional houses of Indonesia, then part of the Dutch colonial world, where curved buffalo horns adorn the rooftops as a sign of wealth. This little house even has a remarkable tale of its own. Years ago, it was lifted up and floated away to make room for the station, only to sail triumphantly home again. Just beside that white ship, look for the glittering glass building reaching out over the water. This is the Muziekgebouw and IJ, the music building on the IJ. Opened in 2005 and designed by Danish architects, it's Amsterdam's premier stage for contemporary classical music, a strikingly modern counterpart to the city's grand old concert halls. Tucked within it, you'll find the Bim Hui, that bold box jutting outward, one of the finest jazz venues anywhere in the world. With its sweeping glass walls drinking in the light off the water, The whole building feels almost as if it's floating, a glowing temple to music perched right at the river's edge. Just ahead, that great green hull rising from the water like the bow of a colossal ship, is the NEMO Science Museum, the largest of its kind in the Netherlands. It's the work of the celebrated Italian architect Renzo Piano, who also designed the Pompidou Center in Paris and London's Shard. There's a clever secret to its shape. NEMO is built directly above a tunnel that dives beneath the river. So as the road plunges down into the water, the building seems to surge up out of it. Inside are 5 floors of hands-on science for the curious of all ages. And that sloping roof? It's a public square, free to all with some of the finest views in the city. On your right stands the Montelbaanstoren, one of Amsterdam's oldest and most charming towers. Its sturdy lower half was built back in 1516 as part of the city's defenses, guarding the harbor against intruders. But as Amsterdam grew and the danger faded, the tower took on a gentler life. In 1606, the architect Hendrik de Keyser, the same hand behind the Westerkerk, crowned it with that elegant spire and a clock. Now, that clock earned the tower a most affectionate nickname, Male Jaap, or Crazy Jaap. Why? Because its bells had a mind of their own, chiming at all the wrong hours, until the locals simply gave up and learned to ignore them entirely. Right in front of us, that little dark building leaning at a charming angle is the Sluyswacht, one of Amsterdam's most beloved old bars. It began life around 1695 as the home of the lockkeeper, the man who once worked the lock beside it. And over the centuries, it has tilted just enough to earn the nickname of Amsterdam's own little leaning tower. But look just behind it, to the larger house. That is the famous Rembrandthuis. Here, the great painter Rembrandt lived and worked at the height of his fame, creating some of his finest masterpieces. Sadly, he later lost it all to bankruptcy, yet the detailed list of his seized belongings is exactly what allowed the house to be lovingly restored as the museum you see today. On your left is the Nationale Opera and Ballet, the grand stage of the Dutch National Opera and the Dutch National Ballet. But locals rarely call it that. To them, it's simply the Stopera. The name is a clever blend, for this building houses two things at once: the city's opera house and Amsterdam's city hall, the Stadhuis. Yet many residents protested loudly when it was built, crying, "Stop the opera!" And that very cry became the affectionate nickname used ever since. Part of their objection was the look of it. This sleek, modern block, they felt, simply didn't belong among the centuries-old canal houses around it. It was also famously over budget, so much so that the Dutch still speak of a Stopera effect for runaway projects. On your left is the Walter Süskind Bridge, named after a courageous man who, during the Second World War, helped some 600 Jewish children escape the Nazis here in Amsterdam. A quiet tribute to one of the city's true heroes. And just to the right of it stands the Rijksmuseum, set in a stately old building on the Amstel, where world-class art exhibitions are brought to the city. And the dark building to your right is home to the Collectie Six, the private art collection of the Six family. For nearly 4 centuries, they've kept their greatest treasure here, Rembrandt's masterful portrait of their own ancestor, Jan Six, a friend of the painter himself. Coming up straight ahead is one of Amsterdam's most beloved sights, the Magere Brug, or Skinny Bridge. This graceful white wooden drawbridge has spanned the Amstel for centuries. As for its name, well, there are 2 stories. The romantic legend tells of 2 sisters named Magere, who lived on opposite banks and built a narrow little bridge so they could visit one another. The more likely truth? The original bridge was simply so skinny that 2 people could barely squeeze past. Today, it's pure magic, especially after dark, when more than 1,000 lights set it aglow. And they say couples who kiss upon it stay together forever. On your left stands the stately Koninklijk Theater Carré, the Royal Theater Carré, one of Amsterdam's most cherished stages. Grand as it looks, it began life as something altogether more playful, a circus. Back in 1887, the circus director Oscar Carré built it as a permanent home for his troupe, famous above all for their dazzling horse acts. That heritage lives on in the building's design. The auditorium is shaped like a horseshoe, a graceful echo of the old circus ring. Today, Carré hosts everything from musicals to cabaret to concerts, and over the years its stage has welcomed legends like Edith Piaf and Frank Sinatra. On the left bank ahead is the InterContinental Amstel Amsterdam, known affectionately as the Grande Dame of the city. This is Amsterdam's grandest and oldest luxury hotel, opened all the way back in 1867. It was the dream of Dr. Samuel Sarfati, a visionary physician who wanted to give Amsterdam a palace on the river. A place so magnificent it would put the city on the map among the great capitals of Europe. With its stately facade, sweeping staircase, and glittering chandeliers, it has welcomed royalty, world leaders, and celebrities for over a century and a half. On your right is the Nederlandsche Bank, the central bank of the Netherlands, founded back in 1814. For generations, this was where the nation's gold reserves were kept, locked safely away in vaults beneath the building. But the spot it stands on has a far more glamorous past. Until 1929, this was the site of the Palais voor Volksvlijt, a dazzling glass and iron exhibition palace inspired by London's Crystal Palace. And here's a lovely connection. It was the dream of the very same Dr. Samuel Sarfati who gave us the Amstel Hotel we just passed, until sadly the magnificent palace was lost to fire. Here's a lovely little fact about Amsterdam's houseboats. These floating homes have become so cherished and so sought after that the city has all but stopped issuing new mooring permits for them. In the historic center, the number of spots is essentially fixed, so you can no longer simply claim a patch of water and drop anchor. Instead, a houseboat with a coveted permit is passed from owner to owner, and they can fetch eye-watering prices. So each one you see floating along the canal isn't just a home. It's a rare and treasured address on the water. On your right is the Fusilladeplaats Rozenoord, a place of quiet remembrance. Here, along the banks of the Amstel during the final months of the Second World War, the occupying forces executed more than 100 Dutch men, many of them members of the resistance, taken from the city's prisons and shot without trial. Today, a memorial of empty chairs stands in their honor, one for each known victim, scattered across the grass as if their owners had only just risen. A silent and moving tribute to lives so cruelly taken. left rises the magnificent Rijksmuseum, the National Museum, and the proud home of the Dutch masters. If its grand red brick towers look familiar, there's good reason. It was designed by Pierre Cuypers, the very same architect behind Amsterdam Centraal, which is why the two are practically twins. Opened in 1885, it holds the nation's greatest treasures, above all Rembrandt's vast and luminous masterpiece, The Night Watch. And here's a wonderfully Amsterdam touch. A passageway runs straight through the middle of the building, used as a cycle path. So all day long, cyclists pedal right through the heart of the museum itself. You might have noticed the 3 crosses throughout the video, similar to the ones on the flag on the front of this boat. These are the 3 St. Andrew's crosses, the proud emblem of Amsterdam, found on its flag, its coat of arms, and dotted all over the city, from grand buildings to the little street posts beneath your feet. Now, a popular story, often told on boats just like this one, says the 3 crosses stand for the great dangers that once plagued the city: flood, fire, and the Black Death. It's a wonderful tale, but historians tell us it's only a legend, for the crosses were in use long before the plague ever reached these shores. Their true origin most likely lies with a noble family who once ruled this land, and with St. Andrew himself, a humble fisherman, a fitting patron for a city born from the water. With that, our journey through the beautiful canals of Amsterdam comes to an end. We hope you've enjoyed gliding past its grand old houses, hidden churches, and timeless treasures as much as we've enjoyed sharing them with you. If you'd love to explore more of the world's most fascinating cities with us, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to click the bell icon to switch on notifications so you'll never miss a new adventure. Until next time, thank you for traveling with us, and farewell from Amsterdam.